Welcome back to another trophy video. These are a few platinums that I've gotten recently, ranging from absolute blast to get and a little frustrating and one that I almost completely gave up on. And before I get into it, I just want to say thanks so much for all the nice comments and subscribers and stuff that I've gotten from this channel. These videos are a lot of fun to make, and I'm happy that you're enjoying watching them and leaving comments, and it's nice to have discussion about trophies in the comments below. So yeah, thanks a lot, and stay tuned for more. First new platinum that I got recently was Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition. I have played this game before. I played it on the Xbox 360 over 10 years ago at this point. I think it was 2012. And I really liked it. Like, I didn't get all the achievements for it, but I had a blast with it. I think I got a lot of them, but I didn't bother to go for them all. And I got a hankering to play the game again because I've been watching a lot of like Hong Kong action movies the past year, and I just remembered, oh yeah, Sleeping Dogs, that game's awesome. So I got it and got to check out the DLC as well, which I never played the first time. Pretty fun DLC, definitely a nice little bonus thing to have after you beat the main game. But this platinum, it was kind of a challenging one in the sense that there's a lot to do, but all it really asks of you is to just see everything, every single thing in the game, do every little mission, every side quest, every collectible. And as you may have noticed in my other videos, I mentioned I don't really like collectible trophies a whole lot, but it was pretty easy and straightforward to get the collectibles in this game because as long as you just follow a mini map and you unlock a perk that allows collectibles to appear on your mini map, so they're pretty easy to find eventually, and they do show up on your like main map of the entire city. Once you do have to scale the whole map looking for them, but it's not something like GTA where they're just everywhere and you have no idea where to look and stuff. Like, and they also glow, so like they're kind of pretty easy to spot. Like you're sometimes you're just driving around and you see one and you kind of just can hop out of your car and get it. But you do have to upgrade your character completely. Just a lot of miscellaneous ones in this one. Kill someone with a fish, that one's pretty easy to get because there's some aquariums you can throw people into and use a fish as a weapon. Love when games have trophies like that. But a lot of it's just, like I said, just experience the game. Like, you know, really explore the world, do everything that the game asks of you and all the side quests and missions and stuff. If you're not looking at the trophy list, there may be a few that you may miss, so you should definitely keep an eye on some of these. Like, some of them, like shoot out a cop's tire while fleeing in a police chase. You think that one would be pretty easy and straightforward to get, but I realized like near the end that I still hadn't done that. I just would drive away from the cops without shooting at them. So once I saw that trophy, I was like, oh yeah, that's an easy one to get. But yeah, as you can see here, open world events. There's a lot of events, and some of them only appear at certain times of day, so you kind of have to keep your eye on the map, and you got to know where to look. So that one's slightly annoying, but not as bad as it could be. As you see here, all these lock boxes, they're all the collectible ones. The karaoke trophy was pretty fun to get because it's like a less advanced version of like the Yakuza karaoke where you just have to move like the stick up and down to kind of match the notes in the song. But it was pretty fun to get, and there's some good songs in the karaoke bar. Once you do all the missions, win all the races, do all the stuff that gets you money in this game, you have to purchase all clothing and purchase all vehicles. As you can see, these two trophies here. These ones were a big pain in the ass to get because you literally have to drive around every place, every car place in the game where they sell cars, and every store in the map, and purchase all clothing. So it's just a lot of driving around, walking into these places and just hitting X to purchase. Like, there's just so much, there's a lot of clothing in this game, so you have to go through every t-shirt, every jacket, every pair of pants, jewelry, shoes. And I didn't wear like 90% of it, so I just didn't care. So I just was kind of just, you know, purchased just to get the trophy kind of thing. Same with the vehicles. Like, there's so many fast cars and motorcycles in this game that once you unlock a certain amount of them, you're just using those. You don't really need to get all of the cars, all the motorcycles, but still, the game asks that of you, so of course you have to do it. Definitely the most grindy and ones that you have to make sure you know what you're doing to get the platinum are these silver and gold stat awards. So there's a menu in the pause menu where you have to see all these. You can get a bronze, silver, and gold medal for all these different miscellaneous things in the game. And some of them are like kill 500 guys, or do 50 headshots, or take down this many cars, or things like that. Like a lot of stuff that you just get naturally while playing the game. Some of them are like take down a guy by like sliding across an item, like jumping over a barrier or sliding across the hood of your car to take down a guy. So you do kind of have to grind out some of them. But I think I only had to do that with like 3 or 4, maybe 5 of them. And they weren't that hard to do. Like, nothing here was totally missable. You can get it after you complete the game, like the main story, because there's, and especially if you leave a lot of the side missions open and challenges and stuff. But this one was definitely probably the most challenging in the game because there's a lot to do. Like, you'll scroll through the list and you'll say, okay, this is a bit of an undertaking. But I was enjoying the game a lot, and I was like, I already decided I was going to go for the platinum, so once you kind of like decide early on that you're going to go for this, then you can knock out a lot of these pretty quick. But like I said, some of them you'd be surprised at how many you'll get without even trying. But I kind of actually weirdly did everything in the game, and except for the last mission. Like, instead of doing all the story and then tackling all the side content, I did everything in the game. So by the time I had nothing left to do in the game and I only had 1 trophy left to get for the platinum, it was the final mission. So I got to kind of like finally go to, like, I experienced everything in the game, then got to do the final mission, and then when this trophy popped is when I got the platinum. So that was kind of cool. It was kind of like I still had something fun to look forward to as my final trophy, and not just driving around doing something monotonous and already being completely done with the story. So it was kind of nice to have the final mission as kind of like a nice little climax to look forward to complete the platinum. So I highly recommend Sleeping Dogs if you like action games. It is open world, so I know like some people are feeling a little bit of a burnout from open world games, myself included, but the map isn't too big. It's nice. It's easy to kind of get around in, especially with all the fast cars in the game. There's a lot of fun combat. There's like Arkham style combat. There's some shooting. There's some racing. And there's a lot of cool different varied missions. It's not just kind of go here, kill this guy, although there's a lot of that. But there's just some unique things, some unique gameplay in this. So, and it's cheap usually in sales. So Sleeping Dogs is definitely worth checking out, and quite a fun platinum. Next up, we got Tinykin. I had never heard of Tinykin before until I watched Nitro Rad, the YouTube channel Nitro Rad, who's a really cool YouTuber. I really like his content. He did his favorite games of 2022, and he mentioned Tinykin. And he really likes platformers as well as I do, so he was really stoked on it, and he was like, oh, this game is amazing. So I watched it. I was like, you know what, that looks totally up my alley. Bought it on a whim, and I could safely say it might be one of my favorite modern games. Like, I loved this game, and it took me 2 days to get the platinum because I started it and I just couldn't put it down. I think I played hours of it on end the first day, and then by the time I sat down and played it the next day, I did half of the game one day and half of the game the other day. And to get the platinum, you just have to play the game, get everything, and 100% it, and you'll get the platinum. To simply put it, if just to kind of sell the game for someone who hasn't heard of it, if you like platformers like Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, and also like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you're gonna love this game because it's essentially like a 2D cartoony platformer. 2D as in like the characters are 2D. It kind of reminds me of like Paper Mario a little bit. But the levels are these like enormous rooms in a house. Like, you're a tiny little guy let loose in a house that's filled with bugs, and the bugs all live in this house, and each room is like a city. So you go in the bedroom and the living room, and it's an entire city, and there's like buildings and structures, and how they do it is very elaborate but very cool. Like, you go in like a bathroom, and there's an entire like city built in this bathroom, and like the bathtub is its own huge area, and there's like a sink, and there's a toilet, and there's everything. It's how they like construct the areas out of these rooms is really cool. It's kind of fun. You could like look around your own house at rooms and kind of picture like, oh, that bookshelf could be like a skyscraper kind of thing. But with this game, each level has a ton of collectibles and little missions and quests to do for people. So kind of like Banjo-Kazooie, where it's like, hey, I need you to go here and do this thing for me, and then you do it and they give you something. There's a lot of like little things to collect in every level, like coins of sorts. But then there's also collectibles in terms of like little household items that you give to this guy in a museum. And there's letters to collect, as you see here. Post every letter in a room, post every letter in the house. So a lot of letters to deliver, a lot of candles you have to light. And a lot of miscellaneous ones, like these ones are just part of the missions in the levels, like reposition the nose on the fountain, light up the dung beetle's lamp, empty the sink. A lot of these things, you kind of look at them and you're like, I don't know what this is, but they're just level specific. And then there's a lot of pollen. So pollen are like the coins of the game, and you have to collect all the pollen in every level, so 100% every level. And then all of the artifacts and all of the brew are another things you have to collect in every level. So basically the trophy list for this is just collect everything in the game. And thankfully the game is incredibly fun. So fun to get around. Like every level is just like a giant world to explore. So there's a lot of jumping and climbing and collecting, and you have a soap bar as a skateboard. So like I mentioned, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, you skateboard around the levels with this soap. You can like grind on ledges, and there's like quick travel, like long lines that you can grind that get you from one side of the level to the other. The music in this game is so good. I loved it. I played it with headphones on, and the music just hit that much harder. God, I can't recommend it enough. And the trophies, easy. Like I said, you know, some of them you might have to look up how to do, or like you might not get naturally, but some of them you will for sure, like 100%. Like some of them you'll just get as you're playing the game, but some of them you might need to look up, or you may miss. So there are technically missable ones if you're not actually aware of the trophies, but if you're aware of them, you won't miss anything, and they're easy to get. God, I just can't recommend this game enough. I loved it to death. It really hit me hard. So I recommend Tinykin because it's a perfect little indie game, and has a lot of heart and charm. And like I said, the music is just so good. And it's relaxing. You just kind of run around levels, collect little things. It's very pleasing. So please play Tinykin. And lastly, we get to Frogun, or Frogun, however you say it. This is unfortunately the frustrating platinum I got, but I wanted to go for it because I did like this game. And like I've mentioned in other videos, I try to only get platinums for games that I like thoroughly enjoy and like love. And I didn't love Frogun. I liked it a lot. And at one point I kind of grew to despise it, and I almost gave up on it. I kind of had like a bit of a journey with this game where I was like, this is really fun. And then it went to this game. I fucking hate this game. And then at the very end, I was like, you know what? That was fun. I'm glad I did that. So if you've never heard of Frogun, it's very much like a throwback N64, PlayStation 1 platformer, kind of similar to like Crash Bandicoot. And also very similar to Chameleon Twist. Have you ever heard of Chameleon Twist for the Nintendo 64? Very much like a run and jump little platformer where you collect a lot of things in every level. And that's the game, basically. A lot of puzzles, a lot of like navigation. You kind of have to figure out where to go in certain levels. And there's a lot of like running and jumping and using your frog gun as like a grapple hook to move around these levels and overcome gaps and solve little navigational puzzles and stuff. But the platinum in this game, it does ask you to do basically everything you can. So you got to beat all the bosses, which were pretty cool. Like the bosses were well thought out and well designed. Like there's no rinse and repeat here. There's a lot of like every boss is different, which is really cool. There are some levels that you have to race a guy through, so you have to win all the races, which is natural if you're going to beat the game. And then there's a lot of medals. So there's a medal in every level for collecting all the coins. There's one for completing without dying. There's one for beating it under a time limit. And then there are these green things, emeralds and notes and obsidian skulls. So you get a medal for doing all of these things in every level. So at some point you have to get at least 30 each of these medals. So 30 all coins, 30 without dying, 30 under the time limit, etc. You need to do that in order to buy all the hats. And all the gallery images, that's different, but all the hats, you need to get 30. There's a few little stipulations. You need to get all the hats, and then all the gallery images, you just need to buy them. I'm going to come back to these two trophies in a little bit. But other than that, complete the bestiary. That's just defeat all the enemies in the game, which you'll probably do naturally. All health upgrades, you'll probably get all those. And some of them are really easy. You use photo mode, take a photo of the scenery, take a selfie, defeat a boss cosplaying as them, so you just buy one of the hats and then wear it and fight them. Finish the level without damaging an enemy, that's easy in the early levels, you just run past everything. And fall on water, you're going to do that a lot in the game because you'll die a lot probably. And then hit the guy that you're racing with something, so you can just use the frog gun to like shoot an item at him. It's easy enough. The boss rush and the brutal rush. So there's a boss rush and a brutal rush. So boss rush, you just have to beat all the bosses one after the other. There are checkpoints, so it's not too bad. The Brutal Rush, however, is the same thing. It's just harder. And there's a checkpoint near the end of the Brutal Rush where you have one checkpoint and then you have to fight the last two bosses of the game. And they're the hardest, of course. And if you screw up at the checkpoint, which has obstacles at it, then you will enter the boss fights with lower health. There are platforms you need to jump on after the checkpoint that have spikes on them. The chances of hitting these spikes are very high, so the chances of you entering the last two boss fights with lower health and not full health is high. So I hated that. And the final boss in this game has a phase that is so bullshit, I hate so much, that I almost gave up on. And I just narrowly beat it. I was so ready to give up on it. So this trophy was one of the worst in the game. But it felt so good to finally get it over with. But Jesus Christ, the last boss, there's a phase that he electrocutes the floor, and you need to use these items to stay up in the air. But this game has a bit of jank involved with the aiming and the jumping, and it's not perfect. It's an indie game. It's a low budget game. So, take that information and do with it what you will, but you may struggle a bit in this. It's bullshit is all I'll say, but I was really happy to finally do it, and it felt good. So finally, the Fashionista and the Art Lover trophies. You need to spend an ungodly amount of money to get all this stuff, and you could 100% collect every coin in every level in this game and still be thousands of coins off. So unfortunately, you gotta grind. I was very not ready to do this. I said, you know what, I'll get the other trophies and then just move on to something else. But I found a level that you could get like almost 400 coins in one run through, and it's pretty quick. Like you can run through the level in like less than a minute and a half. So one afternoon I just kind of sat there, I put on YouTube, I was listening to some podcasts, and I just kind of ran through the level over and over and over again. And I was racking up coins. So I was able to buy all the hats, buy all the gallery images. It still took me a few hours, and it had me kind of questioning, why am I doing this? Like I'm wasting my life doing this bullshit. But I did it, and I still needed one hat, and it was the only hat I had left to buy after buying all the gallery images and all of the hats was to get all 30 medals. So you have to get 30 of all these medals, so finish the level without dying, all the coins, under a time limit. So I basically had to complete a ton of levels without dying and a ton of levels under the time limit. The emeralds and the obsidian skulls weren't too hard because you can kind of find them throughout the level. They're not as hard, but without dying under a time limit was a huge challenge. But honestly, after doing the boss rush and after doing all the grinding on that one level to get all the coins, I kind of enjoyed doing this because it gave me more of an additional challenge that was kind of fun, and I wasn't just doing the same levels over and over and over again, beating my head against the wall. And I kind of found I got better at the game too at this point. Like I was like I wasn't struggling as much. I was clearing gaps and able to like get over obstacles and stuff with ease. Same with the time limit. I was able to like just run through the levels. So I kind of had a lot of fun in the last stretch of this game, as much as I was so annoyed beforehand. And I was able to get the platinum, and I said, you know what? By the time I got the platinum in this game, I was almost like into it again. I was like, you know what? I kind of wish there were more levels. I kind of wish I could keep playing this game in some weird way, because it is cute. It's like a cute, enduring game. It reminds me of like the good old days of the N64, the PlayStation 1. It's kind of like a nice, warm, fuzzy game. But also, Resident Evil 4 Remake came out, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go back to that and kill some infected villagers. So those are my newest platinums: Sleeping Dogs, Tinykin, and Frogun. I would recommend all three because they're all pretty good games, but out of the three, Tinykin is the 100% recommend, and platinum for sure. Sleeping Dogs, yeah, great game. Definitely, I would say a must play. Platinum, not too bad to go for, but it is a bit of a challenge in some ways. And Frogun is definitely the frustrating, question your sanity platinum that you may give up on, but it is rewarding in the end. So yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for more, and I'll see you in the next one.